listening to Reality Wrap. I'm your host, Melanie. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to Reality Wrap. Today we are going to be recapping last night's episode of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I have Mr. Sean here. Not going to lie, last night when we were watching this, so we watch it live when it comes out. And then we also watch it a second time and we take our notes. And we were fresh off of recapping Salt Lake City. We literally finished recapping Salt Lake City and went and started watching Beverly Hills. And I thought, I was so bored watching this episode. I was like, oh my God, it's only been 5 minutes. I was checking the clock every 5 minutes. But today when I went to go rewatch it again and do my notes, I was like, okay, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was last night.
So yeah, I think part of why I had an easier time was you showed me how to install that app that makes me play it 3 times faster. So that made it easier. The show picked up midway through because if you remember, I announced last night with dismay, oh my God, it's only 22 minutes after. And then you announced with even more dismay, oh my God, it's 30 minutes after.
Also, it was an extended episode. I feel like they could have made it shorter and just focused more on Kyle's party. That did not need to be an extended episode, for sure. When I watched it last night, I was like, oh my God, I'm so bored. But then when I rewatched it today on Peacock, I was like,
better.
Okay.
It was better on Peacock. Very much so.
Anyway, so this episode starts out where Dorit and Crystal go over to Kyle's. Kyle is talking about how she needs to get a business manager to keep her on budget, which I'm kind of surprised that she doesn't have a business manager, but a business manager manages your business, not your personal finances. So I'm like, is she getting mixed up? And then Dorit says, oh, I have one. I'm told I'm not to spend any money, but I ignore it. And I just keep spending money.
Poor PK.
Please. He's got to pay for that pretty wife of his.
That seems unfair. So if
it might be unfair, but
may I ask if the genders were reversed, would you feel so cavalier?
Oh my God, are you kidding me? I've seen plenty of arm candy reverse where the men.
We actually know arm candy. And you're right. He is well fed and well taken care of. I'm not giving names.
No, but okay, I'll take it out. Who? Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Okay.
You got to take that out right now.
Okay. I took out the name. Anyway, so Kyle's telling them how she had gone over to Sutton's house a couple of nights ago and how Sutton was acting really off, and Sutton was reenacting how Erica was acting in Las Vegas at the elevator when her dancers were in the elevator, and how she was just being extra dramatic. And Dorit agrees with her, and she's like, yeah, I've been there, and, I really wouldn't be surprised if Sutton had vodka in her coffee. And I'm like, wow, they are really pushing this narrative that Sutton is an alcoholic. Now, maybe she is. I have no idea if she is.
Are they pushing it, or is just Sutton constantly drinking?
Yeah, is she? I don't know. But they're definitely not hiding the fact. In this season, they're really starting to talk about the way Sutton drinks. They're implying that Sutton's an alcoholic.
I think the producers are helping.
Crystal says, I haven't noticed anything. And then in her talking head, she makes a good point. She's like, Kyle, you essentially quit drinking yesterday. Who are you to be making these judgments considering you just got sober? Which I'm like, okay, she's kind of right. But they're really implying that Sutton starts her day with alcohol when she's
she does.
Maybe. Anyway, Kyle says that she wants to repair her relationship with Sutton because it's worth it to her. We then get Sutton and Garcelle, and they're meeting up for lunch or dinner. I don't know. They're in a restaurant. Seems to be a lot of restaurant scenes again. Not a whole lot happens here except for Sutton saying that she is upset about Kyle sticking up for Erica when she called out Sutton at the elevator in Las Vegas. Sutton also implies that she thinks something more is going on with Kyle because she has this new eating and exercise regime, which I'm like, maybe she just wants to get healthy. I don't understand why they're driving that part home so much. I think they're using that change in her day-to-day to try and pull in there's something going on with Mauricio.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to show that she's filling the gaps in her life.
Whatever, yeah, but
knows,
it's, right? I don't know. I don't think it's a big deal. Sometimes I work out, I eat healthy.
I mean, I saw that video that she did with Morgan today, and she looked great. I was like, wow.
She looked great at that dinner.
Yeah, I mean,
her body looks great.
No, just in general, yeah. I mean, so maybe that's it. Maybe she's like, hey, I want to look great.
I want to look great. Yeah, I don't know. So she brings up how Kyle is wearing a new ring and that it's not her normal wedding ring. And she thinks that this indicates that Kyle and Mauricio are having issues in her marriage. Again, I feel like that's kind of a stretch. They're trying to pull in things so they can talk about Kyle and Mauricio having issues. Garcelle in her talking head makes the shadiest comment about how she doesn't know how Sutton noticed that Kyle was wearing a different ring, that she doesn't notice stuff like that. But she has noticed how Dorit was still wearing her jewelry after her robbery.
That was precious.
That was, and I'm like, I see you, Garcelle. I agree also.
That's my girl.
We're now with Erica, and she is over at her publicist's house, who is apparently rejuvenating her team because she dropped her old publicist. Erica says that Tom's indictment has not helped her career. I was like, yeah, probably not. Her publicist says that Erica needs to come out and own her part in the whole Tom mess. And Erica's like, I really want to perform again. And her publicist says she'll make some calls. I don't feel like there was really anything there. Do you have anything to add about that scene? Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of like, whatever.
No.
Jax and Garcelle go to dinner. Garcelle says that Jax likes to talk things through more than Jade, so she is going to hear him out. She tells Jax that he hurt her feelings when they were at the beach and he said he wanted more freedom, and how Jax always believed that she should have kept the family together. And Jack's like, well, I know it was Dad's fault, and I've known it since I was 8 years old because I looked it up. And this, of course, rocks Garcelle, because I'm sure she thought all those years she had protected her kids from, really knowing that their father cheated on her for like 5 years or whatever it was. And he's like, no, I totally knew. I really like Jax. I think he is a very cool kid.
Me too.
He's super...
he was a little direct on the beach.
That's fine.
I didn't like
that.
But he was just speaking his mind.
Yeah, I think he's like a really intelligent kid.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. I think she's done a really good job with her kids.
Like I said, it's tough to say you're a suffering child when you're sitting there. I think he said it was like $1,000 jacket.
Yeah, he was wearing a $1,000 Burberry coat. Anyway, so then we go and we're with Kyle, and she is off to get another tattoo, and we finally get to meet the infamous Morgan Wade. They're discussing where she's going to put the tattoo. Morgan tells her that she got into a fight with somebody on Instagram who says that Kyle is trying to look like her, and that they'll probably think that Kyle's going through a midlife crisis, which I'm like, we're probably not too far off from that. Tattoo,
Maybe.
The tattoo artist asks how they met. Morgan says, she stalked me. Kyle's like, no, I heard her music and I shared it on my story. And I guess Morgan's friends were like, oh my God, Kyle Richards is sharing your story. What is she doing?
Right. So I found her on YouTube. She's got like millions of views. I will say she is talented. She reminds me of a mixture of 3 singers. Okay. Stevie Nicks, with a sprinkle of Dolly Parton.
What?
And Melissa Etheridge. Yeah. So.
She's kind of gangstery though.
Okay,
well, she looks like she's gangstery with all those tattoos.
She's a very soulful country bluesy
singer.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So of the 2 songs, so there's 3 songs I listened to. Again, it's because I listened to these first 2. "Take Me Away" is my favorite actually of the 3. It's a really good song. Didn't have as many views. The other one was called "Wilder Days," which I thought was good, but not as good as "Take Me Away." But then that's when I found the "Fall in Love with Me" video and song, and it's a cute song.
Is that the Kyle Richards video?
Kyle one,
oh my God, that video was so cringe.
In case anyone hasn't seen it yet, it's "Fall in Love with Me." It's funny. It was cute.
It's cringy.
Yeah, but all of this is cringy.
Yeah.
Come on. I love it.
Anyway, Kyle tells us that she was impressed on how Morgan is just 100% herself and she doesn't care what people think. And coming from where Kyle has been in her life, who's always had to worry about what people were thinking and that she was always trying to, portray this certain way, she was really impressed by Morgan just being 100% herself, which could be why I actually feel like I'm kind of liking Kyle this season. Normally I don't like Kyle, but I feel like whatever this is, whatever she's going through, this whole thing, I feel like I'm liking her more this
So I have
season.
no data as to what she is, but here's what I want to believe. I want to believe that she hit an emotional bottom, and instead of giving up, she got pissed. And now she's finding confidence and independence, and, it's changing her. You know? I mean, to your point, she's California sober. She's busting ass and working out.
Yeah.
I mean, these are life changes that a lot of people make.
Yeah, it is true.
So, I don't know. And they're generally positive. And I think that's one of the problems Sutton has is Sutton's not making these life changes. And I think Sutton's noticing it, and she's calling Kyle out for it, which is really, I think, a bad look for Sutton. But I think it's Sutton's reaction to almost like a jealousy that obviously Sutton's hit an emotional bottom, but she's not working out and she is drinking, and so it's a very different reaction. I'm not saying she went
one
bad,
is right,
or one is wrong, but that's just my observation.
Right, that's a pretty good observation. Kyle tells Morgan that she's having this THC dinner party at her house, and clearly Morgan was not okay with it because she was kind of like, I thought you didn't like edibles, and you could just kind of tell she was like put off. And Kyle's like, well, with my group, they're always commenting on me not drinking, so if I don't do something, with the edibles, they're going to get annoyed with her. Morgan's like, well, you shouldn't feel pressured to do something that you don't want to do.
Yeah, but Morgan's pressuring Kyle. I actually don't understand what Morgan went through or why she quit, but she seems to have a negative connotation towards substances, right? And generally that could be a substance abuse history.
Well, she did. She got sober.
Right.
She's been sober. She said, when I went sober, I lost a lot of friends.
I didn't know that she went sober because she had a problem. Maybe she went sober because she just made a life decision.
I'm assuming she had a problem. I don't know.
I felt she was pressuring Kyle. Who the hell cared?
Not do
right,
edibles?
Morgan, you're not invited to that.
Yeah. Oh my God, could you imagine her in that group of ladies?
I think it'd be fine.
I do. Well,
I would watch it.
It's time to get her tattoo, and so she lays down on the table. She gets the tattoo near her hip bone. Morgan holds her hand, and
they were a cute couple.
And they were definitely flirty, but I'm gonna say that I'm still. The jury's not out yet for me to believe that they're like a romantic couple.
I don't know. Seems to me like we have a come through my window situation here.
Yeah. Something I feel like it was more from Morgan than so much for Kyle. I think Kyle was like he, but like it was.
I think Morgan wants to have sex with Kyle.
Without
question.
That was kind of what I got too. I felt like it was coming more from Morgan than it was from Kyle. But Kyle, I don't know. It's hard. There was definitely flirting there.
Yeah.
So Kyle goes home and she's talking to Mauricio, and she tells him that she got another tattoo. Love Bean. I don't know why Love Bean offends me so much, but it really does.
So I think those tattoos, Kyle's accomplishing two things.
What?
She's impressing her new friend Morgan.
Uh-huh.
But more importantly, she's irritating the Love Bean.
Well, it's funny, he asked if it was his name. She was like, no. Like, why would she?
If you got a tattoo, I wouldn't ask you if it was my name, and we're in good standing.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was weird. I was like, wow. You think a lot of yourself, Mo.
In fact, that's kind of the kiss of death. Like, I wouldn't.
It is.
I'm too superstitious. I wouldn't want you to put my name.
No, I agree. That
when
you get the
I'm
ring.
either gonna die. Thank you, or we're gonna break up, and that would suck too.
Yeah.
Right. So there's really no good outcome for Sean here. If
yeah.
you put my name on your body, don't.
So she shows him where it is, and she explains how it's somewhere that nobody's going to see. And he's like, well, I hope I can see it. And she's like, you just did. And he's like, well, I hope I can see it more often. And she's just kind of like, whatever. And I'm like, oh man, Kyle is so over Mauricio. I don't know what he did, but...
Well, I mean, if he cheated on her.
Yeah, all those times.
And if he did, lay in the bed you made, Mom.
Right, yeah, I agree.
Lay in the bed you made, son.
We are now over at Sutton's house, and her matchmaker comes over with some bachelors for Sutton to choose from. Dorit comes over because she thinks that she has figured out why nobody wants to date Sutton, so she thinks she'll be a good picker, I guess. And it's funny, Sutton makes a snarky comment in her talking head, basically bashing on PK, saying, you know, if Dorit could fall for PK, then maybe I shouldn't be so picky. I was like, oh...
You know, I think Sutton's making it a little too difficult to date people. And I think the reason why she's having one date, the reason why this, the reason why she has these weird requests, it's all tied to, I think she might be conflicted. But I think the one thing that we know she wants is companionship, right? Because she's trying. But there's something else that we don't know about. And maybe that's what's being revealed this season. Maybe it's the drinking. I don't know. That'd be the only thing I could lean to. That she knows she would have to change about herself for a healthy relationship, and she's not going to make that change.
Oh, I see what you're
right?
saying.
She isn't, and that's a struggle. And maybe it's subconscious. You're right. They're showing us two things with Sutton this year. She's going on one date, and she's drinking a lot. And I wonder
well, they're implying she's drinking a lot.
But I wonder
we
if
don't
they're also
see her
implying,
drinking a lot.
You're right. Well, but the grapefruit juice, and I mean, they're definitely implying it. And so, and like that, well, no, they showed it. When they,
when she was pouring, when she got back from Vegas.
16-ounce tumbler of vodka and then colored it. That was awesome. And it was like 11:59 in the morning.
Yeah, and they put the time in there. Yeah, I don't know. That is an interesting theory.
It's just a theory, right? I was just thinking if subconsciously she's sabotaging these dates. Yeah, she wants to be with someone, but she's not willing to make the necessary changes to have a healthy relationship. And I wonder if that's what her other relationship was like.
She does also have very odd mannerisms, which maybe don't come off
But could that again be because of alcoholism?
Maybe.
Right? Alcoholics, if you look it up, they can sometimes have behavioral issues.
True. Yeah. Or she could also be medicating herself with alcohol.
And my gosh, who knows?
I know. Now we've gone so far deep into the psychological pond. Let's get out. Let's go back.
Let's put our fake degrees down.
Rewind. Anyway, so Dorit tells the matchmaker that Sutton's biggest downfall is that she's not self-aware, and that some people think that she is erratic and snippy. I was like, wow, Dorit, like you sure are a cheerleader for Sutton. So they go through all the options.
That was amazing.
I know. I was like, wow, what a friend. Yeah, and then I was kind of like, who's not self-aware? Like, Dorit.
Yeah.
So they go through all of her options, and Sutton lets Dorit pick who she thinks is good. So that's the end of that scene. Everybody's now getting ready for Kyle's THC party. Kyle is on the phone with Morgan, and we find out that Morgan, while she was getting her tattoo, Morgan let Kyle do a tattoo of the letter K on her, which I was like, whatever. I know everybody was saying like, oh, that means they're together or whatever. But now that we saw Kyle actually doing the tattoo, I was like, okay, that's not really a big deal.
I'm just going to say one thing.
What?
I thought Kyle did a really good job with that K. Like,
when she started,
I was like, holy shit.
It's going to look terrible.
Out of your mind?
Yeah, no, but...
What's going on? I was like, oh, she's a kid. She's like, what, 22? She doesn't know what she's doing.
She's 28, I think.
Kyle's about to fuck up your head. And then all of a sudden, I was like, oh, that's really nice.
She did. I was impressed, too. I mean, had I done that?
I wonder
you don't
if,
want me
like,
tattooing
she did it like 10 times on paper first or something like that. Because that's what I would... I mean, she literally...
I thought it was spur of the moment.
The way they showed it, she just knocked it out. And it was a good K.
Anyway, Kyle comes down and she sets up the seating chart. The morally corrupt Faye Resnick is the first to arrive. And then we get the newbie Anne-Marie, who I had honestly forgotten about. That there was even a new person on the show. We're 6 episodes in, and we're just now getting to meet her. And I'm not really sure why she's not a friend of, because she hasn't been in 5 episodes.
And yet... Mary on the other one,
who's a friend of, is in every episode.
Has been in every episode,
yeah,
and has had way more lines and more to do.
Yeah,
it seems a little unbalanced there.
The other possibility could be that maybe she started out as a friend of, and from this point on, she's very involved in the season. So they decided to upgrade her to an actual housewife.
Yeah,
that could be too.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's just interesting that. Yeah, she was missing from, for the first 5 episodes. So Anne-Marie and Kyle are talking about how much they work out. Obviously, Anne-Marie is in very good shape. She's cock diesel, basically.
Oh, did you notice that?
Yeah. I was like, wow, she is in very good shape. And Kyle's like, make sure you bring it up later how much you work out, because I'm receiving a lot of flack on how much I work out. And Faye chimes in that it's hilarious that the one who's being healthy is actually the one being attacked, which I'm like, okay, morally corrupt. I see you, because I do think that is kind of odd that people are gunning for Kyle being in shape and not drinking, making healthy choices, and they're like, "What's going on with you?"
I know. How dare you look both ways when you cross the street, you
it
hooligan?
It is.
Yeah,
kind of...
it seems to be shaming people for good habits to mask your bad habits is never a winning strategy.
Yeah, well, we don't know that they're masking bad habits, but
shaming people for their good habits for any reason is never a good strategy.
Yeah. So Sutton and Cynthia Bailey arrive, and it's funny because I don't think at any point did they put a name tag underneath Cynthia Bailey or explain who she is. She just appears at Kyle's house. Like,
she just kind of...
I've listened to her on other podcasts talk about how her and Sutton are good friends, and they went to somebody's wedding just recently, like Mick Jagger I think it was Mick Jagger. Did he just recently get married?
I wasn't at the wedding. I don't know.
Well, anyways, that explains why Cynthia's there, because her and Sutton are actually friends. Then Sutton makes like a shitty comment in her talking head about Anne Marie's tulle dress. About basically, I didn't know they made that anymore. We saw Erica wear that a couple years ago when she was pretending to be Barbie. And I'm like, really, Sutton? That's rich coming from you? Considering you dress like an old lady? I don't care that you're wearing vintage Gucci. Matronly is matronly. And that vintage Gucci that she was wearing with the mirrors all over it, I was like, yeah. Crystal meets Anne Marie, and in her talking head, she says that Anne Marie asks a lot of questions and is nosy. And I was like, well, maybe she was just trying to show interest in you by like asking you questions, and maybe because you weren't really offering any conversation to her, she thought by asking questions would get you to start talking. That was kind of what I took away from that. But we didn't get to see what Anne Marie was actually asking her, so we don't really have any context there.
So I think with Crystal, there was two things with this episode with her. I thought she looked nice in the green dress.
Oh, yeah. I really liked her in that colored green, too.
Did. And she seemed less boring.
Really? Yeah, a little bit.
Less boring.
She doesn't put in a lot of work to be a housewife. That is for sure. Like, I feel like she is very on the outskirts.
Yeah, she plays it safe. She plays it real safe.
No, not even. It's not even that. She just doesn't really contribute much.
That's playing it safe.
Yeah, I guess it could be.
Yeah, and I think Crystal's very nice.
But nice isn't interesting.
Thank you.
So Kyle tells Faye that Camille is coming and that all they need is an electric cigarette, which is a throwback to Camille's Dinner from Hell. I got the impression that Kyle really didn't want Camille there. I don't know if the producers...
Sorry, Kyle.
...asked her to invite Camille because she was kind of like, oh, Camille's coming. And I'm like, it's your house, Kyle. Like, why did you invite her?
I've got two words for Kyle and every housewife when it comes to Camille and Denise. Open invitation to every event.
Yeah, so Camille and Denise arrive, and they also seem like they don't want to be there. They're outside. Denise says, we should just go to the In-N-Out Burger. And then they walk in, and one of them makes a comment that it's awkward. So they go sit down for dinner, and Sutton asks if she can talk to Kyle for a second. So Kyle has everyone go sit down at their place cards while she goes and talks to Sutton. And, of course, she has put Camille and Faye across from each other, which I'm like, I wonder if a producer moved the cards around. Because we see Kyle setting them out before everybody gets there. And then we see Faye and Camille both like, oh, shit, we're sitting across from each other. And I'm like, I wonder if a producer did that.
Possibly. I mean, it's Kyle. You know, I mean, who knows?
Faye's her friend. I don't think she'd put Faye in an uncomfortable situation.
Oh, and then no. Kyle's not.
Yeah, I think a producer went in there and switched them
Kyle's
around.
ditzy, but she's not.
Yeah.
She's not an ass.
So Faye gets up and she moves. And Denise Richard is clearly fucked up on... I don't know if she's on pills.
I love her.
Oh my God, she's so funny. She's like, where's she go? She's not there anymore.
Or
whatever
her.
she's...
Yeah, it was awesome. I love those two. National treasures, both of them.
In the other room, Sutton is telling Kyle how she wasn't herself the other night because she had a meeting with her ex-husband who informed her that he was moving to London and told Sutton that she had to move there as well with their son. And Kyle correctly says, well, he should just fuck off because you're divorced and he can't tell you what to do. And Sutton's like, well, that's easy for you to say, but I was worried that he could take James, who's their son, or I was also worried that James might want to go with him. So because of all of this weighing on her, she overreacted with Kyle. But in the end, it worked out, and she's not moving to London, and she's now going to have James full time, and she actually gets more child support. I was like, all right, well, that worked out for you. And Kyle then asks her, then why were you so aggressively off when you're going to get your son full time and you're going to get more money for it? How do you expect me to feel bad for you? And Sutton gets pissed and said, if you're not going to be sympathetic to me because it's the end of an era. And I was like, what? What is she talking about? It's the end of an era. He's your ex-husband. Like, that didn't even make sense to me. Kyle's like, you are so out of touch. And Sutton's like, my ex-husband is leaving the country indefinitely, and I love him. I was like, what? Like, that didn't even make sense to me. And Kyle's like, it's not that big of a deal. You could fly back and forth. And she thinks that Sutton is just making an excuse for her behavior she's using this as the excuse.
So I thought she was sympathy trolling with her ex-husband's new job. And kind of as I looked at the dynamic, this wasn't a good look for Sutton.
No, definitely wasn't.
So here's as I understand it. So she's the mom. She's getting more money.
She gets $300,000 a month in alimony.
And
now she's getting more. Yeah.
Okay. So she's getting more money because she has to have her child.
Full time.
And he got a promotion and he's leaving the country. So there's three things happening. Which one are pissing you off? It's not the money.
No.
Okay, so I think we can fold that finger. So I'm left with two things. Are you mad that your child's coming to your house? Or are you mad that your ex-husband is getting a promotion?
That won't affect her financially.
Jealousy. Are you jealous?
You're jealous. I don't know.
That's the only reason. Maybe that's what it is. I mean, who knows? If she still has feelings for him.
She said, I love him. And I was
right,
like,
so
maybe because that's her father, her son's father. Like, she loves him.
But
like,
she's
okay.
Not in love with him?
Yeah, maybe. Him. I don't know. It was really odd.
It was an odd moment.
Yeah.
But there's something going on there. I might need to see that again to fully understand that point, frankly.
Yeah.
That was
odd.
Very odd.
So Sutton asks Kyle what her excuse is. And at this point, Crystal comes in to get them because everybody's back at the table waiting to eat. And Sutton tells Kyle that she's not being honest. And Kyle's like, about what? Kyle then says to Sutton, I don't know if you're being weird and off because of your medicine for your feet or if you've had a couple of drinks, but something's not right with you. And I was like, oh, there it is again. She pointed out the drinking thing.
What medicine for her feet?
She has some neuropathy, which is some like nerve disorder. Ooh. On her feet. She brought it up on a date last season. Like, she told the guy.
That's hot.
I know. It was so odd.
Why didn't she get a second date?
I don't know. Anyway, Sutton gets up and leaves, and she goes and sits down at the table, and Erica's like, where's the hostess? And Sutton's like, she's in denial about something. And Kyle comes back, like, everybody's kind of like, oh, why'd she just say that? So Kyle comes back to the table, and the chef comes out, and he's explaining how the dinner's going to work. And they all go...
You're going to eat, then you're going to get high.
Yeah.
It's pretty quick, yeah.
And so they go around and they're asking each person which dosage they want with their food. A lot of them say 0.
Yeah.
A couple say 5 milligrams.
That means none.
Personally, me, edibles always make me tired. I'm not a big edible fan. No. So, I don't know. Personally, I would probably say 0 also. Otherwise, I'd have been like, well, I'm going home. I'm tired.
Yeah, I tried the edibles, and it's going to bedtime for me. I don't know. And then the dosage is, I wouldn't do anything above 10 milligrams in a group setting anyways. So, I mean,
yeah.
You know.
Well, it's funny.
Because you'll feel that. You will feel 10 milligrams.
Oh, for sure. Erica goes, I don't want to be seeing lights and stuff. And the guy's like, well, they're not hallucinogenics. It's just cannabis. I was like...
Do you believe for a minute that she hasn't done things like cocaine before?
Oh, Erica?
Yeah.
I'm sure she's done all kinds of drugs.
So you're going to sit there and bag on marijuana?
I think she just didn't know.
Or you're trying to portray what? I mean, come on. Yeah, I mean.
Well, maybe her first time she took too many edibles and like she got squirrely. I don't know. So Crystal says that she wants Kyle and Sutton to clear the air. And Kyle says, you know, I don't like my friend making veiled threats to me. And Sutton's like, I was explaining something personal to you and you made fun of me.
Kyle. In that room just then.
Yeah.
I shared something with you that was very personal that you kind of made fun of. Then
I didn't make fun of. I said that I can understand that that's sad, but I think that that's an excuse for your behavior in Vegas. Like you made an excuse in Lake Tahoe when you said, I was acting like that because I was selling my home in Bel Air to buy another home in Bel Air.
Just deflecting. You don't
I'm
want
not
to talk
deflecting.
about
I'm telling you,
yourself.
I'm explaining myself. Okay.
I'm talking about me and my personal life, and I'm sharing with you, and I'm being very honest and real.
Should I go out there when they're screaming at each other?
And then I was asking you to do the same with me, and you're not doing it.
But then you're saying, but you need to be honest with what's going on with you.
Okay, so then you're perfect.
I'm not saying I'm perfect. I didn't say my life is
So your
perfect. I'm saying
life
to
is
give the
perfect,
balls.
and there's nothing
If you're not
going
going to be
on.
my friend and put that out there, then have the balls to say what you wanted to ask.
I'm asking you.
I love how the chefs are like, should we go out there while they're screaming at each other?
I know. And when I heard that, I couldn't believe the stupidity of the chef. No. You don't go out there
That's
at
the best time to go out there.
all. Hell no. You get stabbed.
They weren't really screaming at each other either. I mean, in housewives
It could escalate
terms,
quick, though. That's the problem with these housewives.
Yeah.
Some of these fights go quick. Food's getting thrown around, glasses with opa's getting thrown on the floor, glass everywhere. Come on now.
So Anne-Marie tries to jump in and say, you know, when you're friends, you should be able to say things to each other. But be blunt, because neither of you are saying anything right now. Just say what you want to say. So Sutton asks Kyle if there's something going on in her personal life that she wants to share. And Anne-Marie's like what? Say it. And Garcelle goes, with her marriage. What is with the new ring? Kyle's like, I bought it myself. My big diamond is in the bank. Now, what I thought was interesting is that Garcelle was the one who brought up the ring when she wasn't the one who noticed the ring. It was Sutton that said, did you notice how she was wearing a new ring? And that's when Sutton said, I don't notice anybody's jewelry except for Dorit's. But why did Garcelle bring it up?
I don't know.
She didn't even notice it until Sutton brought it up to her. So why is she the one who's bringing it up?
I don't know why Garcelle brought it up. It would seemed out of place.
It did, only because I knew that she didn't notice it. Sutton noticed it. So anyway, Garcelle then says, I thought it was a makeup band. You know, when your husband messes up and he buys you a gift. I have a diamond cross, which I guess is what her ex-husband bought her. And I was like, that is some projection right there. To say that she's wearing a ring, so you're just automatically going to assume that her husband bought it for her because he fucked up.
I mean, it's why I buy your jewelry, but it's not why all husbands.
A lot of husbands don't. And again,
Just me.
It could, she bought it herself. Why is that such a big deal? And why do you automatically assume if she's got a new ring on, it's because her husband fucked up and bought it for her? I don't know. Faye makes a good point, and she's like, it's pretty inappropriate to talk about somebody's marriage at the table.
Did you know Faye Resnick's fucking 66 years old?
Is she really? She looks great.
So I did my research on her, and yeah, she looks great. She looks great for 36 years old.
Yeah.
Fuck.
She's morally corrupt.
That was hilarious when Camille
The
said
morally corrupt Faye Resnick.
I love Camille.
So Kyle says, she's like, that was a weird thing to say. And she looks at Garcelle and is like, where did you get your necklace? And I love, Garcelle goes, Zara. I was like, oh, there you go. You asked a question, you got an answer. Kyle's like, what is the big deal? I buy stuff for myself all the time. Are you saying that my husband cheated on me? I told you guys this already, that it hasn't been a good year, and this is a low blow. Mo didn't cheat on me. I bought the ring myself. I'm exercising and not drinking because I cannot afford to be depressed right now. And I was like, dang.
And there it was.
She doesn't want to be depressed.
So something's going on, obviously.
Well, yeah, she already said that.
But I think
it's a low point in her marriage.
I think it's the marriage. I also think it's maybe a little midlife.
Yeah.
Right? She's at the age for a midlife. And
instead of her spiraling and going off and drinking to excess, she's done the opposite, which I think, again, that's a better choice than going the other direction and just like...
Right. I think she hit an emotional low.
Yeah.
And her reaction to it was to exercise and to not drink and to...
And maybe take Ozempic. Anyways, that is the end of the episode, and we get it to be continued. So maybe there's going to be some serious drama at this end of this party.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's all we have for The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I'll be back on Monday with my recap of The Real Housewives of Potomac, and then we'll be back with Salt Lake City and Beverly Hills. So have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye, all.